Survivors we are, survivors we are. Are you ready for the journey? Clarence Karim is the name, yes indeed. Survivors we are.
Hi, Clarence Karim here. I like to deal with things in what doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, but boy, that does put you to the test. I've had my fair share of surgery. At the last count, I had 6 major surgeries and about 4 minor surgeries. Many times as an inpatient requiring special care, constant monitoring and being poked and prodded. Now, as an inpatient, especially if you've been in and out very often, I can spend a whole day with top up for meds or observation, routine bloods, scans, sometimes 2 or 3 nights, or many 2 or 3 weeks, and even months at a time. So you can get used to a routine. You can easily know the timings from when the nurses change over in the mornings to when the breakfast comes, if they change your bed sheets, call around for meds, lunchtime menus, lunchtime itself, when they bring out the newspapers and magazines, snacks on a trolley, visiting hours, the dinner menus, the dinner itself with pudding and tea, again swapping the nurses along with certain treatments, the porters trolleying you to and from bed to various tests, and then, if you can get a night's sleep, bedtime. And again, throughout various times of the day, you'll get either a doctor's call, the nurses will come in, check your observations, give you your meds, help you with whatever things you need help with. You might get a call in from the pharmacy, maybe a student doctor might sit with you, a physiotherapist, perhaps an occupational therapist. And if you're going for a procedure or an operation, you may get a visit from the surgeons and an anaesthetist, the one who numbs you out. So from what I've just said, to the casual observer, they can say, oh, enjoy the rest, you're in the best place, oh, you need a break. All those nice and charming things that they can say, because they mean well. And I've even had, oh, sounds like a holiday to me. Yeah, I get that, holiday. But now you need to factor in the amount of excruciating pain that you're in, or that I'm in. That when the nurses come, you can barely speak. You can barely open your eyes. When the food comes in for breakfast and dinner, the mere smell of the food can churn your stomach. You may even need a nurse to bring in a sick bowl so you can throw up. When they bring around the meds, the doctors could have ordered painkillers to help you with your pain, or just trial and error to see what will or won't work with you. And if you've been on the N scale like I've been, well, you're like a guinea pig for pretty much everything. The body reacts in such a violent way. You react badly. Your stomach's killing, your body's aching, you can barely move, barely breathe, you're exhausted from being in bed. You've got bed sores. You can't move easily in bed, and you can't move around easily, and now you're a guinea pig for meds that won't necessarily agree with you. I remember once the doctors put me on Buscopan. Now, that does work for some people, but the state that I was already in, pain, gut-wrenching, can't smell food, I'm gone as it is, it actually added extreme migraines, convulsions, a huge amount of pressure on my gut where there was no relief, even though they'd already put me on a morphine drip. The other case where I had come out of surgery when they'd opened me up completely, moved my intestines around, cut some intestines out and what have you, and they'd left the epidural in for pain, and during that night the epidural had slipped out. I screamed my lungs out and shouted so hard, because I could feel the cuts of the surgery, every manipulation of the intestines, every little bit of where they had operated. I could feel it. And there was no calming down from that. And there was only one doctor on call for the entire hospital at that time. And when he'd come to see me, he ordered me to go on to a morphine drip. And in his nice and kind, polite way, he said, there's no way I can put that epidural back, even though that was the best thing to do, because there was a lack of people to do it. Now, I'm in extreme pain. I can't talk the way that I'm talking to you right now. I'm just about putting one or two words together. I don't have the strength to argue my intellect with this doctor. And there's very little I can do at this point in the middle of the night. So I was in absolute agony. The worst pain the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Far from any Crohn's pain or dull pain or sharp pain. You know, I mean, with the Crohn's pain, although it's constant, it's always there. You know what it is and you can kind of have a handle on it. But this is surgical pain, like you've been stabbed. I mean, you've had a knife to your gut. You know, it's like you've been wounded and there's just no relief from it. All they could tell me was, because my body had been so used to taking Cocodamol, Tramadol, Oromorph, and all the other strong opioid pain relief, that now those pain meds wouldn't make a dent on the amount of pain that I was in. So to be fair, it did teach me a big lesson in taking painkillers. Use them only when absolutely necessary. Otherwise, they won't make an effect. Similarly, I've had many unfortunate incidents as an inpatient involving cases of pain from jumping from one medicine to another, or from needles not going in properly, or being fed a line through your throat whilst you're awake and you're gagging and your reflex is trying to force it out, but you have to have this line put in, or having a line up your nose so it can go through your throat and down, or being fully awake during an endoscopy, and various other procedures. At the time, you're too weak and too tired and way too much pain to acknowledge that. And these are extreme situations, and so you go with it because you've got no choice. You really want to make it out of there, so you can get back to whatever life you have. It definitely gave me the power and perseverance to want to get better, so that I could leave the hospital, in my terms and my way. In fact, just thinking about hospital, it does give me a headache, but with the power of will and hope, I know if I had to go into hospital, I'll come out, because I put my faith in God to keep me going. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Never a truer word spoken. Karim out.
Survivors we are.